Wow, the way that they just casually wave back at the police officers while breaking the law, that's the epitome of Portland. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Zukardowski here of wearechange.org, and there is a lot of just absolutely wild and crazy news to get into today, as of course we have a lot of very troubling developments, especially when it comes to all the corruption and horrible things that are happening here domestically inside of the United States. But there's a bigger picture to worry about, as of course we have a global geopolitical proxy conflict that is absolutely getting incredibly out of control. We're going to give you those updates, what's happening there, what's the long-term trajectory, and a lot more, all here on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played from you in the beginning of this video was originally highlighted by @ClownWorld on Twitter and shows you just the absolute lawless situation right now in Portland, where police officers are not even bothered by crimes being violated right in front of them, as the local governments there that have been infiltrated by far leftists have been telling them to stand down, and they have, because they're just following orders, guys. Nothing has ever gone wrong historically just by people following orders. This, as the latest orders that are going to be given by far leftists, is to shut down New York City pizzerias. Yes, you heard that correctly, as today we are finding out that the New York City local government is going to start cracking down on wood-fired pizzas, which is essentially how all pizzas are made in New York City. Why are they doing this? Well, they're following arbitrary rules in order to make the weather better. Yes, this is all about fighting emissions. Who are they going to be fighting? Of course, local and small businesses that are still up and running, since of course pizza is a fan favorite of everyone living in New York City. There's famous historic places like Geno's and Lenny's that are the major cultural piece of that entire city that are just being obliterated and probably won't be able to survive, as of course conventional cooking methods do not compare to an authentic slice of New York City pizza. The few random, very sparse incidences of me actually being in that city, I of course make sure to at least get a slice, because it's authentic New York, it's rare, it actually tastes good. They can't replicate the taste of New York City pizza anywhere. And now the New York City Department of Environmental Protection has drafted new rules that would destroy and gut these predominantly small mom and pop owned businesses that somehow have still been able to survive the corporate takeover and Disneyfication of New York City, which in my opinion is an utter travesty of injustice. As there's a lot of injustices. There's a lot of powerful multinational corporations and big banksters violating and breaking rules every single time, and usually they get a slap on the wrist for it, as of course the SEC just fined JP Morgan $4 million, which is nothing. It's not even a drop in a bucket for them, as they were caught deleting 47 million emails related to subpoenas, probably the same ones related to, of course, a Mr. Epstein that they have been in trouble for, since, of course, they were allowing, financing, and continuing an international trafficking and extortion operation that involved a Mr. Epstein literally giving small children to powerful people to do whatever they wanted to do with. The bank that did that? Little slap on the wrist, don't worry about it. You're trying to make an honest living and earning, you're screwed. And who cares about the law, especially with the Biden administration, as of course they routinely break it. Who's going into the White House? Who's visiting them? As of course this administration, this president has been known for being a career politician, has been known for being corrupted for many decades now, or even not trying to be transparent to who is visiting the White House. As of course Mr. Epstein frequently visited the White House during many presidencies. Is there a new Mr. Epstein? Is there something that the White House is hiding from the general public? And obviously so. We're dealing with a man that's getting millions of dollars from China, Ukraine, and Russia. This, of course, greatly impacts American foreign policy and, of course, the decisions that these people make that screw the average Joe over, while, of course, benefiting institutions like JP Morgan and Chase. And this is why, out of many reasons, their main political opponent is leading and gaining in the polls, as, of course, they desperately try to put him in jail and under criminal prosecution for laws that they also violate themselves. The whole document situation, Absolutely crazy. Joe Biden was caught with classified documents in his garage. Now, of course, Joe Biden complied. Donald Trump took his time and, of course, didn't. But we're still facing the likelihood of the former president of the United States and the lead opposition party leader being in jail because of documents and paperwork. That's just absolutely ridiculous in this country. This says there's more trouble for the current administration as a new NBC poll has found that 68% of voters, including 43% of Democrats, are, quote, concerned that the current president of the United States might not, quote, have the necessary mental and physical health to be president of the United States. All of this as Robert Kennedy Jr. keeps flaunting his body on social media as if he's an e-girl. And hey, rightfully so. If he's got it, flaunt it. And I think he's doing it specifically because he knows it's an issue that voters actually care about this presidential election. As, of course, Peter Hotez, a man who, of course, has weaseled out of a debate and is too afraid to even have an honest conversation with RFK Jr., just officially responded to this comparison of his junk food-aholic body at 65 compared to, of course, RFK at 69 years of age by saying, quote, I'm not sure I get the logic here, and I think Peter, the photo speaks for itself, as you literally brag on interviews about how you cannot stop having 5 seconds of mouth pleasure enough to actually consider the health risks of actually putting poison into your body. He then went on to call RFK Jr. some kind of American version of a shirtless Putin on a horse, relying on, of course, the good old Democratic CIA woke handbook, saying if you don't like something, they just have to be Russian, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But before we get into that, plus a lot more, there's a lot of things that we can't talk about here on this particular broadcast. We are already fully demonetized on this particular YouTube channel. And even without that, there's still particular topics, issues, videos that we want to show you, that we want to talk about, that we cannot talk about here, because if we would be totally taken down. This is why we created our own platform called LukeUnfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up for it, what are you waiting for? Today's video will be particularly spicy and, of course, only for adults. This is not a family-friendly show. This is a show specifically made just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com, just for adults, as, of course, we get into and talk about more serious conversations, use more kind of French language, and, of course, highlight and show videos that the censors here would absolutely not appreciate. That video, that brand new report, is available for members right now, right after this video. You could click the link down in the description below right now. Signing up is quick, it's easy, it's simple, it's just 50 cents a day, and it keeps this independent media organization up and running. Plus, you get an incredible amount of value given to you just by simply signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com, and I will see you there right after this broadcast. As, of course, we will continue this conversation, as just moments ago, the president of Ukraine came out on national television and he announced that there probably won't be any presidential elections in the next coming year, saying this specifically.
Чи будуть в Україні наступного року вибори?
Це ж питання глобальне. І якщо ми переможемо, то будуть. Значить, не буде військового часу, не буде війни. А вибори повинні проходити у мирний час, коли немає війни, згідно законодавства. І тому це так.
This, as of course, Ukraine has already shut down opposition political parties and media organizations as they're involved in an extremely dangerous situation with Russia that has invaded its country. A situation that is becoming, quote, deeply dangerous and unpredictable, especially with the latest moves made by the Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin that literally had a march on Moscow recently that was something that the Russian government was even warning about months ago, and U.S. intelligence agencies even briefed the U.S. president on. If the current president of Russia is replaced, there is a very high likelihood that he could be replaced by someone who is an absolute war hawk by someone who could also be far off worse than actually he is and create a way dangerous situation for everyone. This, as a lot of people are still trying to find out exactly what happened here. There's a lot of different theories, as the US corporate media keeps reporting that Putin is on his way out and that this is a glorious, great thing, when of course it would bring great instability and problems. Just think about exactly what happened to Iraq when Saddam Hussein was toppled, and then multiply that by 20 and add thousands of nuclear weapons. Yeah, not a good situation, not a smart situation to be in. There should be détente, there should be de-escalations, and there's absolutely none of that at all. Now, exactly what just transpired over the weekend is something that a lot of people are speculating on. Some people are saying that this was 4D chess. Some people are saying that Prigozhin actually didn't want this coup d'etat. Some people are saying that he actually did. What will really truly be the telling mark of all of this is what transpires next. And I think it's fair to say, if Yevgeny Prigozhin is imprisoned and probably taken out, that he legitimately wanted to, of course, overthrow Vladimir Putin, and if, of course, he is allowed to live, and potentially even launch a southern offensive from Belarus into Ukraine towards Kiev, then I think it's fair to say that this whole entire situation and matter happened because of a larger 4D chess move. Currently, Yevgeny Prigozhin has been last seen in Minsk, Belarus, and is, quote, being warned to be very careful around open windows, as he was able to negotiate amnesty for himself. And will that be respected? Well, of course, only time will tell, as of course he's also speaking out publicly and saying that his march on Moscow was a, quote, masterclass on how Ukraine invasion should have looked like, and that he only turned around in order to avoid spilling Russian blood. This, as even the Chinese state government and media are getting involved here, saying that this situation is creating a lot of political instability, and the situation is, quote, moving in the direction the West would prefer, going out there and even criticizing Russia in one of its rare times that it actually does that. And it's not just Prigozhin that's in trouble, it's also a Russian scientist that just has been jailed for leaking information to the Dutch, as of course this bloody, horrible conflict continues when it could have been ended so many times over. Again, this conflict is only being prolonged. There's no victor here. There's only tremendous amount of suffering, life lost, the life of innocence, the loss of property, which might soon become even on a grander scale, especially with the craziness that we all have to go through, with sociopathic politicians literally using human lives as pawns for their political aspirations. That idea is just absolutely crazy, and if you agree with me, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more important than ever. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys actively going and signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. We got fully demonetized recently, and because you do, that's why I'm here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I'll see you on LukeUnfiltered.com. Love you.